Hi everyone, it's Raza von Werder. To take a break from all the abuse stuff and everything else, a lot of people want to know about sex. When I went to speak to Binghamton University students, I spoke about many things, and what interested them the most was sex. And when I speak to individuals, when I go downtown, we're in a college town, and when I go downtown where the bars are and all the students go, and I talk to them all the time, they all want to know about sex more than anything. That's like the first thing they ask me about. Now, there's other things as well, but one of the main things that people are very confused about is sex. So I want to tell you what I know about sex and what I believe about sex. When we had Mother God religion, sex was sacred. It was not a sin. Men made it men made it a sin. Men, patriarchy made it a sin. Sex was never a sin. It is not a sin. Even though Moses wrote, fornication is a sin, adultery is a sin, it goes by the individual act. Rape, of course, is a sin. Now, of course, when you put in the hate factor, the violence factor, and the exploitation factor, child abuse, rape, exploitation, of course that's a sin. But sex is an act of love. Sex is God's love. God gave us sex as a great blessing. People should have more sex, not less. And you do not have to be married to enjoy sex. People are beginning to see that, A lot of people aren't getting married anymore. The marriage institution was created by patriarchs. And it contains a double standard and persecution of women within the marriage. The nuclear family is an invention of patriarchs in order to intimidate and control women and children within the family, where the women don't have a backup, they don't have a sisterhood, they don't have their relatives to protect them, the children don't. And so the man is bigger, stronger, he can intimidate the wife, push her around, and abuse the children. That's what the nuclear family is. It's a hotbed of abuse. But that's my thought on marriage for the moment. But let's get back to sex. Sex is there for our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. When we have sex in any form, masturbation, fornication, adultery, unless it's abuse, like I said, exploitation, rape, and violence, within sex, this is all bad. I mean real violence, not S&M playing game stuff. I mean real violence. Real violence. So that's all evil, of course, because the evil is in it. They put the evil in it. But just sex, when you feel love or desire, of itself is not evil. It's a way of charging up our feel-good hormones, endorphins, dopamine, what are the other ones? Aldosterone, I think they call it. Dopamine, aldosterone, then serotonin. Maybe I'm wrong about aldosterone. I have to look that up. There's three main ones. It does things to your body. It does good things to your body. It relaxes your body, sex. It relaxes your mind. It relaxes your emotions. And it's not just sex, but cuddling, affection, and cuddle therapy, I call it. I used to have a boyfriend that I used to do cuddle therapy with, and I told him, let's do the cuddle therapy. And he would jump. He loved it. And in cuddle therapy, you just hold each other. And you take turns. First, he puts his head in my lap, and then I hold him wherever I can touch him. It's non-sexual. It's just cuddling. You don't touch each other's genitals. And you just hold each other. And we used to do it for an hour or more, and sometimes one of us or both of us would fall asleep. It was so comforting. People need to be held, touched. They need physical, just like with your mother. With your mother, you need sensual contact, skin-to-skin contact. there's a website called The Origins of Peace and Violence. I did a book on, half of my book is about him. I'm trying to think of his name. Neuropsychologist, James W. Prescott. James W. Prescott. Origins of Peace and Violence. And he teaches how, and many others knew this, but he's a very good teacher of this. He's a very good exponent of it. A baby and a mother, they need skin-to-skin, sensual, physical contact. They need to be, like the natives carry a naked baby. Sometimes the mother's topless, and they carry the baby around the village. And the baby gets the rocking just as the baby had in the womb, and the baby gets touching. They need a lot of touching. They need comfort, to be comforted. They need, and that love and physical contact with the mother is the basis of their future sexual life. Where if they are deprived of the physical, sensible, sensual touching with the mother, they can grow up later and they'll be sexually less functional or even dysfunctional. If a child has like no sensual comforting, he can get lesions on the brain, and which never go away. Supposedly, he said, they're never cured. I spoke to him, Dr. Prescott, a couple times by phone, and I asked him, can't that be cured? And he said, no, once they get the lesions on the brain. But I believe in miracles, so I believe anything can happen, but it's difficult. It's difficult, and I think that's children who have radical attachment disorder have lesions on the brain. All right, so people are so confused about sex, they're frightened about it. Women are scared about it. Men are scared about it. They all want to have sex. Almost all the men I meet downtown. Not every one of them, but most of them. Maybe some of them go there just to talk to friends once in a while, but a lot of them are looking for sex. And a lot of women want relationships, but they like sex too, but they just don't want to be hurt. They don't want to be hurt. Now, with me, I'm an older woman and I'm a cougar, and I'm going to talk about that later, not now, later. When I get into my books, I'm going to talk about old woman, young man, why they belong together. And I'm going to talk about the cougar life, and I'm going to start a Facebook called My Cougar Life, and I'm going to have my webman go downtown with me and film me, dealing with young men and dating them and taking them back to my apartment, maybe, if I get lucky. Okay, so when you think about sin, wipe sex off your sin guilt trip. And that includes masturbation, that includes fornication, sex outside of marriage, and adultery. Now, adultery, sometimes it might be a sin. I don't know. I think it goes case by case. Because if you made promises, if you made promises, you're breaking your promises, maybe it's a sin. I don't know. So I think God would judge it, and you should judge it as a case by case situation. But I will say this, what's good for the gander is good for the goose. Whatever goes, if it's an open relationship, if the guy can have sex with other women, then the woman should be able to have sex with other men. And that is, matriarchy is coming back, so we are getting there now. Women are expressing their sexuality and their desires more openly now, without fear of being slut-shamed. Now, when I go downtown, they say to me, you're very open about whatever you do. So I said, well, I used to be a lady, but it wasn't any fun. God told me to have fun. To be continued.